Welcome to the PAULCAST. Starring me, Paula Kosienski. Hey everybody! Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome back to the third episode of the PaulaCast. I'm so excited for you guys to be here. I'm excited to be here. I think this is gonna be good vibes. I'm feeling good vibes so far. I'm very pumped to do this episode today because we're doing it a little bit different. So, last episode is kind of how I normally want to do things, but this episode is going to come out right around my birthday. I'm 27 years old this year. Wild. So, in honor of that, I wrote 27 lessons in 27 years. And I'm going to share them with you today. And these are all lessons that I have learned. I'm not necessarily saying other people should do this or not do this. And some of these you're probably going to be like, girl, we knew that already. So that'll be fun. Couple changes to the show visually. I added a picture because I wanted to spruce up the space behind me. So let me know what you guys think of that. And I've decided to name Bella, our cat from the last episode, our co-host because she likes to come in whenever she wants. So we may or may not be seeing Bella on this episode. I don't know. We'll find out. But we've named her co-host for tax purposes. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into the 27 lessons in 27 years. I will say, as we get into it, one, these lessons, I did not create these. I did not invent these things. These are all things I've learned that people have told me or whatever. So, just if there's any of them that I actively think someone needs to get credit for, it's their thing, then I'm gonna tell you because I don't want you to think that I came up with it. So there's that, and then also, fun fact, this isn't a lesson, but it could be. I used to think that the year you are is the year you're going into. I used to think, okay, you're 27, you're going into your 27th year, but actually, no, what it is you're coming out of that year. So, some of you are probably like, Paula, girl, this is obvious. But when you're one, you're not going into your first year. You've already done your first year. So realize that last year had a little bit of a crisis, but we're back and we're better than ever. So 27 will be me wrapping up my 27th year. So I've got, like I said, 27 lessons and I'm ready to get into it. So let's go. Pause. Hey John, can you still hand me my fidget toy? Hey John. I'm sorry, can you still hand me my fidget toy? I'm sorry. Don't worry, I'm still, it's still rolling. I paused and I'll unpause and it'll be good. Is that the one? Yes. Alright. 4 minutes, 7 seconds. Got it. Perfect. Alright. Unpause. Alright, let's get into it. So, lesson number 1, comparison is the thief of joy. So, I said this on my last episode, and I just feel the need to say it again because I think it's so relevant. And also, I know that I deal with this fairly frequently, especially as a comedian. You're constantly comparing yourself to other comedians. Am I funny enough? Do I have enough followers on Instagram? Am I doing what everybody else is doing to keep up? And but honestly, and I mean there is a place to gauge stuff like that, but really comparison is going to take all your joy away. It never feels good to compare yourself to other people. It always just ends up feeling, at least for me, like everyone else is better than me and stronger than me, whatever, and I just feel not so great about myself. And on the flip side of that, if you are comparing yourself to other people and you're like, I'm killing it, everybody else sucks and I'm great, then you might be joyful, but you're also not a very fun person to be around. So I just think comparison takes all the joy out of your life and replaces it with like frustration and bitterness. So don't be comparing yourself to other people. It's not worth it. All right, number 2. This one's a big one for me. Not all of my emotions are helpful, and I shouldn't always follow my emotions. I think that I was raised in sort of the culture where we talk about our feelings and we're in touch with our feelings, and that's good because we don't want to like bury them down. But that doesn't mean that just because I feel a certain way, I should act on it or that I should like honor that feeling through behavior. And I feel that way about other people that I'm around too. I'm like, you have every right to feel the way you feel. I would maybe not act on it. And I say that to myself constantly. There's so many times where I'm frustrated, or for me, it's more so fear. Like, I notice that I'm really afraid of something, and it's like all okay to be afraid, but push through. Don't act on it. Unless like a bear is trying to kill you, then maybe act on that. But okay, number 3, little bit of a deep one, but it is God's plan is better than my plan, which I know in my head, but sometimes I don't always know in my heart. And so honestly, I feel like I learn this lesson all the time, and every time I learn it, and then I slip back. So God has a plan for my life. I believe God has a plan for your life. It's to prosper you. It is to do good things for you. They might not feel like good things in the moment, and I feel that way. I'm going through that right now, actually. Something small, not like a big thing, but I'm like, what the heck? This is not what I would choose in the moment. Or this really does not make sense to me right now. But I just have to remember God's plan is bigger than my plan. It's better than my plan. There are things that He knows that I don't know. And I just need to, ride it out. So I feel the same way about you guys. Maybe not the ride it out part, because sometimes it's really big. But I just really believe everyone, God has a plan for your life. Might not be what your plan is, probably isn't what your plan is, and that God's plan is better. So, there we go. Number 4, your tabs on your car do not automatically get mailed to you. You have to get them, and also they cost money. I didn't know if you knew that. I found that out after moving to Nashville because my parents were so sweet, bless them, and they're still alive, by the way. And they would often do all that for me. My dad would do all of our tabs, and turns out they don't just come to your house. I thought they just showed up in your mail. So I was like, "Hey, where are my tabs?" And they're like, "What do you mean, where are your tabs? Go get them." So, uh, probably good for you to know if you didn't know that, because otherwise you could get a ticket and nobody wants that. Okay, number 5. If you want to touch a cactus, don't. It might look so interesting and you might want to touch it, and you're probably thinking, is it really actually going to hurt? It will. It will hurt. You shouldn't touch it, especially if you're asked not to. I was in a flower shop one time. I was very young. My mom was like, "Don't touch the cactus," and she walked away, and I was like, "I'm gonna touch it. I am going to touch it." And then I touched it, and it was painful. And I didn't do this. I full handed it. I grabbed on to that cactus, and I paid for it. So don't touch cactus, even if it looks like it might be fun. Number 6 is bitterness and entitlement are a bad vibe. And I don't really know where to put that, but I just want to put it out there. It's not fun to be around. I I have to check myself sometimes and be like, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to keep growing up and slip into that. Like in comedy, there's a lot of bitter people. I don't want to be that. I don't want you to be that. So bitterness is a bad vibe. We're here for good vibes. So don't be that way. I know it's not always that simple, but you know. All right, number 7. Oh, if you're gonna download a file, I think PDF is the way to go. I feel like I learned that. I used to try and download on Word docs, and honestly, I don't know what they've got going on at their company, but the formatting does not download well. It always gets all jumbled up, so I would highly recommend PDF. Number 8. This is a big one. Day drinking is superior to night drinking. And all of you night drinkers out there, all of you partiers out there, what are you doing? Okay, you're missing out on what I think is the best part of alcohol. Now, I will say I've grown a lot and I rarely drink, and if I do drink, it's like one thing on a holiday. So I'm not advocating for you going out and getting drunk, but I'm also not going to say that I haven't done that in the past. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, day drinking is better. Day drinking is perfect, okay? If you're going to do it, I would do it in the daytime. And I know most people would be like, that's a bad sign. I think it's a good sign. Because you start drinking, okay, you wake up and you start drinking. And then, which is amazing. And then you drink, but you're also drinking water, and then you're eating, you're snacking, you're talking, doing whatever you're doing. And then around, lunchtime, early evening, you peak, and then you kind of slowly start to sober up, and you can drink water because you're awake, and you can eat food, and you're still kind of feeling it, but you kind of come down from it, and then by the time you go to bed, you're sober, and that's so much better than the alternative, which is where you'd drink and you'd be really feeling it at like midnight, 2 a.m., and then you just go to sleep for 9 to 12 hours. You're gonna wake up super hungover, you're gonna be super dehydrated. Also, at night, people make more questionable decisions at night, so that's less likely, although I'm sure people could still do it. Yeah, day drinking's the way to go. If you're gonna do it in the daytime. Number 9, prayer is important. I used to not really fully understand the like point of it, or you just kind of feel like, for me, I always wanted to feel in control, and you kind of just want everything to be in your control, and then you learn as you grow up that not very much is in your control, and even the stuff that is in your control, like, I don't have it all figured out. So prayer is so important. It's especially important, I think, when you feel like you can't do anything, because it's a humbling feeling, and you pray and you talk to God, and you remember that He can do what you cannot do. And even if you can do something, prayer is still very important, because again, you might be able to do something, but God can do anything. So let Him, put your burdens on Him, cast your feelings and your burdens on Him, and let Him carry it for you, because we're not built to carry it alone. Alright, number 10. This is going to be a little specific to me, probably not very relatable to a lot of people, but do not go to college for theater in North Dakota. Not trying to hate on it. I think that it was fun, but totally not necessary to be in theater or to be a performer. And if I could go back, I would prefer to go for something like, I don't know, aerospace engineering. Not actually. I would be terrible at that. But just go for something else. There's performance arts schools like in New York and LA, and I think maybe those have, I get why people go to those, but if you live in North Dakota and you're thinking about going to college, I would go to college for something different than that. Okay, number 11. Do not let a baby go to bed with a bottle of milk or anything sugary, because they suck on it all night and they keep washing their teeth in the sugar that's in the drinks, and then they get a bunch of cavities. So instead, put them to bed with water, and if you have to put them to bed with something. Okay, Number 12. This is a John Deloney thing. I just got this from his podcast, but I really feel like it's helped me a lot in life, which is your body keeps the score. So if you don't deal with something, your body is going to deal with it. And probably not the way that you want it to deal with it. And I felt this way about like anxiety. Like, if I don't deal with it up here, I'm going to be feeling it in here. All right. So same for you guys. Like, deal with your problems, confront them head on in a healthy way. Don't just ignore them, because your body will keep the score. Another John Deloney one, number 13. Uh, Behavior is a language. If I could have this tattooed on my brain, I would. Behavior is, I think, a better way to tell, like, language, what people say and what people do, they don't always match up. And if I were you, I would go based on what they do. It's fair that sometimes people just have good intentions and it comes out poorly. So, I mean, definitely talk to someone if you feel like who they are trying to be isn't actually matching up to who they are. But, like, really, like, look at the way people treat you and go based on that. I have felt this way, I have experienced this, and I have a lot of friends who experience these dumb boys who say they want a serious relationship and they do not act like they want a serious relationship. So believe them. If and that's really specific, but broaderly, like in a broad sense, just listen to what people are not saying but doing, and I think that is really helpful in knowing like what people's intentions are. Okay, number 14. Just look out for your body and live well. Eat your vegetables and get enough sleep and drink water and go to the bathroom and exercise, because your body is important and you need to treat it well, because it's, at the very least, it's your physical presentation and how you navigate the world. And if you're a Christian, like I'm a Christian, I believe that the Holy Spirit lives in you. So you want to make a nice home for the Holy Spirit, and you want to be healthy, and you want to be appreciative of what God gave you. Even like for me, I have some stuff that is messed up. That's okay, still treat it well, because we want to have it for a long time. Oh, on that same note, eat more fiber, okay? We always need more fiber. Eat more fiber. All right, next, number 15. Famous people do not have it all figured out, all right? They may look like it, they may look pretty or handsome, and they might present as though they're like just so put together. But I'm gonna tell you what, someone put that together, and they are not all perfect. And so often in the media, like you'll see a celebrity like fall from grace because they do something bad. And don't get me wrong, like it's still frustrating to see someone do something bad, but like, again, no duh, we're all gonna do bad things, we're all gonna sin, we're all gonna not be our best self, and celebrities are no exception to that. Alright, 16. If you want what someone has, you gotta do what they did to get it. So I really am learning this lesson right now, where I see people out in the world and I think, I want what they have, but then I don't stop to think, what are they doing to achieve that? Because that is what I need to do. So I'm trying to get better about that now, of like, if I see something or someone or whatever and I'm like, "Oh, I want to do that," then I actually have to do it. And honestly, this show is a really good example of that. It's like I wanted to be able to put my voice out there because I see other people do it, and I'm like, "Oh, I love that they can do that." And it's like, "Oh, if I want that, I need to do it." So that's what we're doing right here, right now. Awesome. So, yeah. Okay. Number 17. If you are someone who gets nauseous, I am a puker, so I've been there. And you don't want to be nauseous, and you are nauseous. Sometimes it can be really helpful to sniff an alcohol pad, like from the hospital or whatever. Those little alcohol pads that they clean. Take a whiff, take a couple whiffs, and in my experience, that really tampers down the nausea. Okay, 18. Address anxiety, but don't feed into it. So, this is a big lesson that I've had to learn. It's important to acknowledge if you have anxiety about things, but that doesn't mean that you should use it as a justification to do those things. So, like, an example for me is like, I used to be really afraid to drive on the interstate. So, I can admit I have anxiety about driving on the interstate, and I should admit that because I need to admit it in order to like break free from it, but I should not then use that as like a since I'm afraid to drive on the interstate, then I won't. I still have to do the thing that I'm nervous to do. I just shouldn't yeah, don't feed into it. Unless it's like a bear is trying to kill you and then maybe feed into it. You know how that goes, when a bear's trying to kill you. Alright. Number 20. Number 19. Go to the bathroom when you have to go. Okay? There is nothing that is so important, probably, that you can't take 5 seconds to go pee. It's bad for you to hold it. I see my friends hold it, and I go, girl, don't hold it, okay? It's not good for you. Just go to the bathroom. Anyone who is a real friend will let you go to the bathroom, and they will wait. So, go to the bathroom. And if that means you have to make people stop on a road trip, make people stop, okay? Because that's important. And nobody should have to be on another road trip where everyone in the car is pressuring you not to pee, but you have to pee. Pee, girl, pee. Okay. Now we're on number 20. If you have a bad apartment, you do not like the management, or you think that maybe they're difficult, document everything. Every time you talk to them, every maintenance request, every problem. I don't care if it's as simple as a little paint chip. Send an email about it. You never know when that's going to come in handy. And honestly, even if you do like your apartment, still document because you never know when that's going to change. But honestly, if you get a bad vibes about someone, apartment, or like something else, document because you may need it one day. Okay, 21. I learned this when I was first starting to babysit around 15 years old, which is babies actually get really restless right before they're about to go to sleep. So if you're rocking a baby and they are fighting you, that's actually a good sign because that means they're about to go to sleep. You can do this. Be strong. Push through. All right, number 22. This one I wish I could tattoo on other people's brains, but it is you can always just ignore someone, alright? I know, crazy, right? We live in an age of social media where it is too easy to comment on someone's thing, and also I think we have a problem with creators purposely saying and doing things that are obviously going to spark outrage, and then using that outrage to get interaction so that it builds their content. Just ignore it, okay? Ignoring someone doesn't mean you're signing off on their behavior. Maybe sometimes it does, but sometimes it really doesn't. And even outside of social media in life, you're going to have people that you have irreconcilable differences with, and it's probably not beneficial for you more than once to state your feelings on something. And so just ignore them. Just ignore it. It's so hard, but it's also so easy to just ignore someone. And also, I just want to say, when it comes to that, like, there's so many times where I may want to say something and maybe it's actually warranted. Maybe it really is something you should say to them, but ask yourself, am I in the position right now to talk about it? Okay? And if the answer is yes, then great, talk about it. But if it's sensitive and the answer is no because I'm actually stressed out right now, or I'm too tired, or I'm, not my best self, just ignore it and come back to it later, okay? And same with the other person. If they are clearly not interested in hearing what you have to say, just ignore them. You aren't gonna get anywhere. Maybe saying it once is appropriate, but just ignore people, alright? If you have someone that's driving you nuts, just ignore them. Okay. I'm a preschool teacher, or I was a preschool teacher, and I can't tell you how many times a day I had to look at some sweet little 4-year-old and be like, I'm sorry that kid is chewing next to you. Ignore it. Okay. Number 3. EOS chapstick has always made my lips bleed and crack. I wish it didn't because honestly, I love their brand. I'm a sucker for branding, and I think that they're killing it as far as chapsticks are concerned, but it's terrible. It literally has, I've never felt my lips be so bloody and raw and dehydrated than when I was using EOS. Burt's Bees, on the other hand, love Burt's Bees. That is the best chapstick for me. They do not sponsor this, obviously, but just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, 24. We're getting to the end. All right, it says, I don't know if I'm lactose intolerant, but I like lactose-free milk. I just think it's nice. Honestly, I can't taste the difference. I used to not like it. I used to be able to tell the difference, but as an adult, 2% lactose-free milk, good to me. All right, 25. It is good for me to stay busy, and I kind of feel that that is true for other people too. Not so busy that you don't have the time or the energy to like deal with life, but I need to be busy enough where when things bother me, I like don't sit and stew on them, and I can be busy with my day and realize like, oh, it really wasn't that big of a deal. I remember one time I was like 13, so it was like before I had gotten my first official job. I had obviously had stuff, but it wasn't like a job. And it was a summer. It might have been a little older and I might have been in between something, but it was like a week or two in the summer where I didn't have anything going on. Red flag immediately. I need to have stuff going on. And this is how I found that out. Okay, it was the summer, I didn't have anything going on, and I loved it for about 24 hours, and then I was just the most depressed. I have never been so depressed in my life. My mom would come home on lunch break and like talk to me, and I would just cry. Like, for no reason. No reason at all. And I'm really grateful that I had a mom that didn't panic, at least to me, and just was like, Paula, you need to get a hobby. You need to get a hobby or you need to get a job or both because you are losing it. And I appreciated her saying that to me because it has reminded me that whenever I have nothing going on, I need to get something going on, even if it's just something small. I need to do something. Okay. Next, number 26. We're getting real close to the end now. It says math isn't that bad if I just did my homework. I went to summer school for math, which I actually highly recommend. It was a real good time. And they made us do our homework in the class. It was like a 4-hour class, and then you had to do your homework while you were there. And my math went from like a D to an A, all because I was just doing my homework. So maybe the lesson for that one should be do your homework. Number 27, we've made it to the end. Got one more. This has been fun. This is probably one of the most important ones. Do not make any major decisions when you are overtired. I cannot say that enough to myself. I often find myself so overtired, and then I take that opportunity to reflect on everything I've ever done and ever said that I didn't like, and I just have such a negative view over my, like, I have little like downer glasses on about my life, and then I sleep for 8-9 hours, and I wake up and I'm like, let's vibe, happy times. So don't make any major decisions when you're super tired. And if you have to make a major decision when you're super tired, uh, just maybe ask someone else to help you because you're probably not at your best when you're tired. I know I'm not. Well, my friends, that's it. 27 lessons for 27 years. I had a great time. I hope you guys had a great time. Next week, we're going to get back to sort of the segment format like we did last week, but next week we'll get back to that. But for this week, I really appreciate it. I hope if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment any lessons that you've learned over your life that you want other people to know. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great week. All right, thanks.